Did you think completing your DIY projects would be easy? We did. We have completed over 100 projects to turn our house into a home we can be proud of.
But it was a grind. We wish we'd known how to do it smarter.
So, to help yourself if you're feeling stuck, tired, or overwhelmed, here are 20 things that we learned that will help you check that next project off your to-do list.
Speaking of that next project, lesson 1. What's the craziest thing that you've wanted to do to your home? Our house was a 1970s fixer-upper turned flipper special when we moved in. Mismatched paint, crooked tiles, and cheap, well, everything. It definitely needed some love, and I was eager to get started. But some of Amanda's ideas seemed a little crazy.
You think I'm crazy?
Amanda ignored my hesitation and painted the bathroom green. Floor to ceiling green. And don't get me started on the tree branches everywhere, mounted to the walls, hanging from the ceiling, holding her jewelry. It's weird, but it's us. And it's what makes this house feel like it's truly our home. When we had to take the branches down briefly to paint the house immediately stopped feeling like ours, proving that the weird stuff was exactly what we needed. It's okay to change things in your home. Don't worry about resale value and just do what makes you happy.
Lesson 2. Okay, maybe worry a little bit about practicality and longevity. You don't want to look back at a project a year later and ask yourself, DIY, why? We see people get tempted by those aesthetic trends that ignore how a house actually works. I don't care how soft it feels. You have to realize that carpet does not belong in the bathroom and choose materials that are built for longevity instead. Save yourself the nightmare of ripping up a gross, wet mess in a year or two and keep your home actually functional. Before starting on a project, ask yourself if you will still love it in 5 years. Lesson 3. We have made mistakes. So many mistakes when it comes to some of our previous home improvement projects. But we decided to embrace the words of the legendary Miss Frizzle. Take chances, make mistakes, and get messy. And that is how we've been able to learn and grow. Those mistakes were actually how we grew into skilled DIYers. The second time we made our planter box and hanging bed were huge improvements over the first. Don't be afraid to try. You can always go back and redo the project after you've learned more.
Lesson 4. Looking back on our life before kids, we had an abundance of free time that we didn't fully utilize. And we did a lot of projects then. But we'd also come home burnt out from work, flop on the couch, and then just feel guilty when the project sat unfinished. We realized that the hardest part was just starting. So we began intentionally scheduling some of our free time for projects. This transformed us into productive weekend warriors and made a huge difference. Make time to DIY by being intentional and prioritizing it like anything else that's important to you.
Lesson 5. After kids, we now have an abundance of joy, but our free time has seemingly vanished. We can no longer spend an entire weekend painting the house or refinishing cabinets without interruption. So we had to be very intentional. We became tactical, squeezing in DIY tasks into any tiny block of time we could find. By squeezing in tasks, we kept our home improvements moving forward, despite our bundles of joy taking up a majority of our schedule. If you're struggling to find time for DIY projects, sneak them in during nap times, after dinner, or by waking up a little early.
Lesson 6. What really made the difference on projects post-kids was acknowledging a key issue. Building an entire bed frame for our son during his 2-hour nap? Impossible. But getting these boards cut or those boards sanded? That's something we can do. So we broke the project up, and I know it sounds nerdy, but we made a list, a checklist. Surely you've made checklists before. It is so satisfying to check items off the list one after another. And on a particularly good day, checking off 3 or 4 in a row is glorious. It's exactly that kind of endorphin boost you need to keep pressing forward. Break down tasks into small 15 to 30 minute portions and make a checklist. It adds up faster than you think. And before you know it, you'll have completed a project that looked impossible when you started.
Lesson 7. Even when broken into steps, a big project like a bed frame may still feel overwhelming to you if you've never done it before. And that's okay. Totally normal. Instead of starting with a full-on furniture build, there is no harm in starting in some small project. Some of those first projects we did on our house were tiny things, like replacing drawer pulls or painting the fireplace and hanging up pictures. Seeing those immediate results, even on the small stuff, proved to us that we were actually capable of improving our home. And it turned that paralyzing fear of the big projects into a genuine itch to pick up the tools again. Those small wins helped us get faster and more confident with each project completed. And eventually, that momentum is what drove us to conquer bigger and bigger home improvement projects.
Lesson 8. Can we be honest with you? Like, really vulnerable for a minute? We're teaching this stuff, but even we aren't perfect. We have incomplete projects sitting around, like this car mirror that I need to replace, or a bag of door stops that hasn't been installed, or this box of electronics for a Wally robot that I 3D printed. It's so easy to lose momentum on projects if you have to keep stopping before finishing a step, or when a project just sits there so long that it becomes part of the decor. To kill that stop and start cycle, we started pre-planning our DIY days to dedicate specific blocks of time to finish each individual step completely before walking away. By the way, this is another way lessons 6 and 7 help you. 6, 7. We're getting better at it. By making sure we reach a solid landing point in our work, it's stopping the cycle of projects sitting for weeks, months at a time, which finally silences that guilty voice we hear every time we walk past an unfinished task. Plan your project schedule so you don't get distracted. Set it aside and lose all momentum on it.
Lesson 9. It's not just about the guilty voice in Ty's head. These projects affect us all. Ty tends to order materials and then get distracted, leaving triggering piles of clutter that stress me out. I usually hide them so I don't have to look at them. But then we both forget they exist. And I mean, this bag of doorstops has been hiding here since 2019. To stop that hiding cycle, we stopped making DIY a solo mission and started getting the whole family involved in the planning and the mess. Now projects stay on the radar instead of in a dark corner. We replaced my clutter stress with a shared sense of pride because we're actually crossing things off together. Since DIY affects everyone in the home, get everyone involved to create collective pride.
Lesson 10. Sometimes you live alone or your significant other just wants nothing to do with your DIY craziness. Or some things are too heavy to handle alone. I once tried to replace our sliding door, but our deck didn't have stairs yet. I was staring at this massive, heavy piece of glass and no way to get it up there by myself. I called on our friend Matt as a lifeline. I had him stand on a ladder outside holding the entire weight of this door while I literally sprinted through the house to come out onto the deck and pull it up over the railing. Yeah, that was dumb. And we're lucky we didn't break the door or ourselves. But instead of a disaster, it turned a stressful task into a hilarious bonding moment that we still laugh about today. You don't have to do it yourself every time. Call a friend to help.
Lesson 11. Positive memories like that door installation are what keep us going. We look around our house and we can immediately pick out the projects that mean the most to us. For example, we had just closed on our house and we're desperate to move out of our cramped apartment. But that new place still felt like a stranger's place. We knew if we didn't tackle the messiest projects, like we're finishing the cabinets, before moving our stuff in, it would eventually drive us nuts. We hadn't even had the keys for 24 hours before we were ripping cabinet doors off and covering the kitchen in a thick layer of sawdust. It was ridiculous. We were exhausted and eating Chinese takeout on folding chairs in a completely empty living room, just like you see in TV shows. That messy, impulsive start is what finally made the house feel like ours. That first win gave us such a massive endorphin boost that not even 1 week later, we were already ripping out that siding door with total confidence. Every time you have a good DIY experience, that endorphin boost makes it easier to take on the next project without getting burnt out or feeling intimidated. You've got this.
Lesson 12. Let's be fair though. DIY isn't all happy moments. See this tile floor? It's pretty, huh? We had just finished laying this tile floor and were admiring our handiwork when we started hearing popping sounds under our feet. The tiles were separating from the cement board right in front of our eyes. Hours of work were coming undone, and we had no idea why. I was ready to wallow in self-pity, but cooler heads prevailed. We chose to walk away instead of letting the frustration win or ripping things out in a total rage. Stepping away saved the project. It gave us the space to stop the wallowing and come back with a calm mind and maybe a glass of wine that we needed to actually troubleshoot what went wrong. If something's frustrating you, it's okay to walk away and get help or come back with a calm mind and think it through.
Lesson 13. So there we were, staring at our tiles and wondering what went wrong. We were at a crossroads. We thought we only had 2 options. Either grout anyway and hope for the best, or rip it all out in a fit of rage without actually fixing the root cause. But then, instead of guessing, we started asking around and doing our research. We discovered that the cement board was actually sucking the moisture out of the mortar so fast that it couldn't bond to the tile.
The fix was as simple as pre-wetting the board next time. So, we still had to pop up 90% of the tile and scrape off the dried mortar, but the mystery was gone. We had a solid plan, and the project shifted from a frustrating disaster to just a matter of time and effort.
Sometimes just talking to others is all you need to figure out the solution. Remember lesson 9 and 10? Having friends and family to lean on can be a major boost to your DIY productivity.
Lesson 14. Speaking of friends and family, they don't have to be physically present to help you achieve your goals. It's easy to let a project slide when you're the only one who knows about it. Sometimes we have these big, slightly out there ideas, like our master bedroom makeover, and the sheer scale of the vision makes it tempting to just never start. We decided to put ourselves on the hook. Before we even picked up a tape measure, we showed our friend Matt the SketchUp model of the headboard and this crazy idea that we'd planned. And it wasn't just at the beginning of the project. We showed our friends and family the progress as we painted the corner, got the headboards up, installed the plants, and finished the nightstands. Because they were in on the vision, they kept asking for status updates. That external pressure turned our maybe someday project into a we have to finish this mission. We never would have transformed that room so quickly without our friends cheering us on and making sure we actually did it. So, tell others about your plans to create a sense of accountability and help you cross that finish line.
Lesson 15. Let's be real. By the time you reach the end of a big project, you're usually exhausted. You're covered in dust, your back hurts, and you're so close to the work that you stop seeing that cool factor and only see the tiny imperfections. It's easy to feel burnt out right at the finish line. That's why we make a big deal out of the reveal. Once that last plant was on the wall and the tree headboard was finally glowing, we brought our friends Matt and Kelsey in to see the results of this crazy vision we've been telling them about for weeks. We still remember the look on their faces. It was pure shock and joy. Seeing their reaction to the tree headboard for the first time completely refilled our cups. It reminded us of why we do this in the first place, and sharing in that joy is one of our favorite parts of projects. Showing off your hard work refuels your motivation and drives you to keep pushing forward.
Lesson 16. That said, don't feel like you need to do everything at once. When we moved into this house, we walked through every room and made a master list of everything that we wanted to fix. By the time we hit the end, there were 76 items on that list. Looking at all 76 at once felt like a mountain that was about to collapse on us. And can you imagine trying to take on all 76 of those projects at the same time? I can. because I tried. I was jumping from the kitchen to the yard to the bathroom, trying to do everything at once. It nearly broke me.
We had to stop the madness. We forced ourselves to prioritize that list and pick just one major thing to focus on at a time, giving ourselves permission to let the other 75 wait their turn. It instantly slowed that house fire anxiety and let us actually enjoy the process again. Plan your projects in order and be realistic with your timeline so you don't feel overwhelmed. Lesson 17. Now, you don't have to start your DIY journey by filling your kitchen with sawdust or opening a giant hole in your wall. In fact, you actually shouldn't. Trying to fight the final boss while you're still at level 1 is a surefire way to completely feel overwhelmed and quit before you even finish. Don't be like us and instead start with your projects you know you can knock out quickly. We're talking low-stake victories like replacing toilet paper holders, installing a towel rack, or adding basic shelves to a closet.
Scratching these off the list is incredibly empowering. And don't just check them off. No, you cross them out. Strike them down. They have been defeated, and you will rise victorious from the dust of their ashes like a majestic phoenix.
Start with the projects that you can accomplish quickly or easily to build confidence and momentum.
Lesson 18. Now that you're heating up and you need a strategy for the remainder of that to-do list, the best place to start is with the projects that cause you the most pain on a day-to-day basis. For us, that was our sliding door. We let the dogs out multiple times a day, and every single time, we felt like we were going to snap that handle off, just trying to get it to budge. It was a daily test of our patience and our grip strength. Even though it was a big job, we moved it to the top of the list because it was a high-frequency problem. We stopped ignoring the struggle and prioritized the project that would actually change how we lived every day. Replacing that door didn't just fix an issue. It fixed our mood every single morning that we let the dogs out outside. It was a total game changer when you realize that simple things like replacing doors or smaller projects like creating shoe storage or a coat rack at an entryway can make your space so much more functional. It'll make you wish that you'd done them months ago. Once you're feeling confident, focus on the projects that cause you the most pain on a day-to-day basis. The functional win will fuel your sense of accomplishment.
Lesson 19. All right, you've crushed the side quests, you've gained experience, you've finished off the main missions, and you've gotten some great loot. But now it's time to face the boss. These are the projects that feel a little scary because they're purely about your vision. It's easy to talk yourself out of this because they aren't essential. So they just sit on that wish list forever and you live in a house that kind of feels meh. Well, decide that just okay isn't enough. Start leaning into the project that makes the biggest visual and emotional change in your space. We're talking full room renovation. Paint, flooring, furniture, plants, decor. Sick of gas appliances in your home? Rip them out. Want clean electricity? Install solar panels. Taking on that statement project changes your entire relationship with your home. When you look around and you see a total transformation that you designed and built, it fills you with a level of pride that makes you feel like you can conquer anything. The sky's the limit. Well, your budget is the limit. But after that, the sky! Don't be afraid to tackle the projects that will make the biggest change in your space and bring you the most joy to create that I did that DIY pride.
Lesson 20. We've talked a lot about how to tackle a to-do list, but what if your list is blank? You know you hate your space, but you have no idea how to fix it. I personally really struggle to picture anything in my head. I just can't close my eyes and see a finished room. If I can't draw it out, it doesn't exist. What if I don't even know what to draw? The trick is to realize that the ideas don't have to come from your own imagination. Start hunting for your spark of inspiration everywhere. Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, places on vacation, even friends' houses. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel and start collecting images that make you go, I want that. Then use them as a blueprint to build a real step-by-step plan. By starting with inspiration and moving straight into a plan, the project stops being an intimidating mystery. You aren't just guessing as you go. You're following a roadmap that you know ends in something beautiful. It takes the pressure off your brain and lets you get straight to the fun part, the building. Find your inspiration wherever you can. Don't be afraid to copy what you love, then make your plan and get started.
Feeling inspired is one thing, but knowing what to do when the sawdust starts flying is another. If you're ready to stop guessing and start building with a real plan, click this link to check out our beginner DIY courses. No experience required.
And if you found this video helpful, we'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe to stay in the loop. It really helps out this channel and lets us keep making videos like this. Bye, friends.
Bye.